of the SAICA APC exam is quickly approaching, and I know for most of you writing in the current year, which is in 2 weeks, you may be feeling a little anxious and not knowing what you should be doing between now and the day that you actually receive your pre-release information. Some of you may just be wanting some tips and tricks on how to best navigate this period, the pre-release period, as well as how to best approach the day. If that's the case, I'm your girl. Hi everyone, my name is Sibahle Shabalala, or as I like to refer to myself, your self-appointed APC mate. I am a chartered accountant by profession and also the founder of APC Mates, which is my YouTube channel, and APC mentorship program, which basically aims to assist you and hold your hand in your APC journey, aiding your success for your APC. So I've decided to create this very short series called APC Nuggets, where I will be sharing some very quick, digestible tips and tricks on how to best approach this period, the pre-release period, as well as how to best approach the day. It will be very quick. It's aimed to be digestible, but if you would need more information on the content that I will speak on, feel free to head on over to my YouTube channel, APC Mates, which does then provide more content or more detail as far as the topics that I will cover. Whilst you're there, do feel free to subscribe, and this may also be a good time to click follow on this TikTok account. So 2 key things that will give you that armor that you need for the pre-release period as well as for the actual exam. So my 2 fighters is 1, doing your master file or creating your master file, which I'll explain shortly because I know most of you do not know what the master file is, and except if you have ever encountered me in your life and you are doing APC. As well as the second and important thing will be the self-reflections. I think for this purposes of this video, I'll just be covering the master file. Part 2, I'll then be dealing with self-reflections. Right, what is a master file? Master file is a compilation of specimen responses that you would have had done either in the current year and dating 2 years back. So I'll just explain how I use the master file, or how did I compile mine. Then in that context, you'll understand what the master file is. But the moral of the story, or the true crux of why a master file is important, is it literally serves as a blueprint for you during the pre-release period, should there be a certain concept that is being triggered on your pre-release information that has been previously triggered in any one of the previous pre-release in any one of the previous specimen responses. How you compile it, first and foremost, you need to I'll use myself as an example of how I developed my master file. I did my board course with the APT board course. So the specimen responses that I used were the specimen responses for the task or the assessments that we had done in that current year and the year before, as well as 2 years back. So I had 3 years worth of specimen responses. So how do you compile it? And if you're not in a board course, you can use previous years APC specimen responses that are available on the SAICA site. So how you then compile it, you will then take the specimen responses, you look at each specimen response, and at this point you are not reading anything, you are not going in for detail and what's or not, you are just going in there to go note that, okay, task A for this specific specimen response, or for the specific case study, task A was audit, and it was task B was accounting, task C was management accounting, and so forth and so forth. You're just stating the modules that each task was testing. Then you don't stop there, you go further to say, okay, task A was audit but risk of material misstatements. So you're noting it down either on the actual specimen response, or what I did, I had compiled it on just a piece of paper. So you'll just be labeling in accordance to the subject matter that it's testing. So you'd say whether it then looks as like a tabular format that you do on the side, just to assess all these case studies that you have now, or all these specimen responses that you have accumulated. So you're just making an assessment of saying what were the subject matters that were being tested in each task, either doing it on the actual specimen response itself, but how I did it and how it worked best for myself is I did it on just a blank piece of paper, where I just noted that, okay, if I'm looking at case study 2, task A for case study 2 was accounting what's or not. Case study 3, I'll do it alongside what I did with the case study 1. Once you've done that assessment, you want to create a file that will have folders. The key folders that you must have in that file will be audit, the management accounting, your disciplines, tax, as well as ethics. Yes, the fifth one, ethics. So you just want to have a file that has all those 5 folders, and then you want to have subfolders. What will be under the subfolders? For audit, you want to have risk of material misstatements. You may want to have your approach, as well as, I don't know which other or common topic was being tested in audit, but whatever the topic that you would have picked up from doing this assessment, or you assessing the previous case studies and the disciplines that they were testing, you just put to those subfolders. And then this is you just now creating subfolders. You haven't put anything under inside. And then for accounting, you'd want to have costing of an asset. It doesn't have to be that you're dividing your accounting, saying I-16 and IS what's or not and IFRS whatever. No, you just want the concept to come through. So for example, if it was a costing of an intangible asset, in the one task or the one specimen response, whereas it's the costing of an I-16 asset in another specimen response, you're not going to want to then separate those just because it's the different standards. You can just put costing as a topic there for costing of an asset and so forth. I hope you catch my drift. But in any case, once you've done that skeletal file showing the different subfolders, you then want to go back to these specimen responses that you have now classified or classed into their different classes, the tasks. So your specimen response at this point, your specimen responses are not clipped together, they are separated. So now what you do is you will take, if task A in case study 2 was audit risk of material misstatements, you take just the specimen response that relates to risk of material misstatement, so just task A only, and you slot it there on your subfolder, which is risk of material misstatements, on your master file. But if task C of case study 1 was audit risk of material misstatement, you just take task C and you put it there also on that subfolder of risk of material misstatements. So what that then does is something completely magical, because the time that you receive your pre-release information, you have with you either one of two things. Either you have sight of how more or less that question will go, or how it will develop, how that trigger will develop, or that task, that what would be the expectation of it then in terms of how it will present itself on the day, or what would be expected as a response of that specific task. Of course, it would have to then be in application of that specific case study that you have on the pre-release period. But it could be that within these, let's say you have three examples now of what a risk of material misstatement question will look like, because of your all these specimen responses that you have, and because you've slotted them here, so you have like 3 examples of what a risk of material misstatement will look like. So it's either you have a synopsis of what it may look like, or you have your what if analysis. But now, during the time at which you receive your pre-release information and they trigger risk of material misstatements, you can go straight into this folder of risk of material misstatements. You start assessing at high level of what a risk of material misstatement question can develop into, what would be expected more or less from a professional, and you just do then your assessment of that, and then you apply yourself now with a better understanding of what more or less risk of material misstatement questions then end up developing. So when you're now doing your summaries, you now have some sort of mojo jojo or some flow to go in terms of how this concept can potentially develop. So when you are now applying yourself on for that particular case study now, but you would now have some sort of call it insights of what such can develop into. There is so much more to speak on when it comes to this the master file, because I really think it is one of the greatest assets that one can have going into your pre-release period, and also then assist you to sharpen your actual file. But I just want to keep this brief for the purposes of making it nuggets. But if you do want further information, go to my YouTube channel. There I really went to the park in terms of explaining how to utilize it, what is it about, how do you compile it, and so forth. But if it's not clear, feel free to then drop your comments, and I'll sure then attend to it. Again, the master file is not the file that you take with you on the day, but it does assist you in compiling the file that you take with you on the day, because if something is triggered, you will then have somewhere that something that can assist you to then best prepare for that particular subject matter. So you only take the relevant parts of the master file into your main file. How long will it take you to do a master file? At most it would be a day, but it can be just a couple of hours. If you start your day at around 8, probably by 12 you should be done with compiling your master file. So it doesn't take much time for you to compile it. Just the only time or the only logistical thing is for you to go and print out the specimen responses. But yeah, I really would advise that you do start compiling your master file. Part 2 of this, I will then be dealing with self-reflections and how you can best do a self-reflection, so for you not to waste your time saying you are self-reflecting, but it's things that will not actually assist you. So I'll also just touch on that on the next video, but I do hope that this one will be you'll start now going to compile your master file at whichever point that you're seeing this video and you think the master file approach would work for you. Go to the park with it, and I know that it will certainly work. Based on my previous experience, it really does assist. But yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I will then go into part 2.